What you're about to see is perhaps one of the most significant inventions in the past 200 years. In order to understand the importance of the invention, it's essential to understand the critical nature of the problem. Here is a brief history of the problem. Tropical cyclones have been the scourge of mankind for thousands of years. Tropical cyclones, also known as hurricanes, are the largest, most severe, destructive, and deadly naturally occurring weather phenomenon on Earth. Hurricanes form in the tropical regions over warm ocean waters to become large rotating low-pressure weather systems that produce very heavy rains and sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or greater. When hurricanes hit land, they often devastate areas with their most destructive force, called a storm surge. Storm surges are created by the combined forces of high winds and low atmospheric pressure that can raise the ocean level to create a wall of water as high as 28 feet that rapidly pushes onto land, killing people, destroying land and property as far as 25 miles inland. The tragic and destructive history of hurricanes is unfortunately all too clear. These 5 recent hurricanes have killed over 1,000 people and caused over $350 billion in damages. It should be noted that these aggregated loss statistics include losses due to storm surges, flooding, wind damage, and other loss contributors. However, with a flood barrier system in place that could have stopped the storm surges and other flooding events, all of these losses could have been very substantially reduced. Here are 4 of the most infamous tropical cyclones since 1970, where over 1 million people have lost their lives. Again, with an effective flood barrier system in place, many of these lives could have been saved. Storm surges also wreak havoc on our environment. When land is inundated with storm surge water, tons of fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, oil, gasoline, raw sewage, and other contaminants are absorbed by the floodwaters. When these floodwaters finally recede, all of the absorbed pollutants flow into our fragile oceans, with devastating consequences to marine life. From a social perspective, the poor and indigent are the greatest victims of tropical cyclones. Tragically, these vulnerable communities are least likely to be informed of an approaching storm, least able to move, least able to rebuild, and therefore least able to survive the impact of such a storm. To prevent storm surges and their effects, several countries, including the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and the United States, have built a limited number of fixed storm surge barriers which collectively span less than 25 miles. Unfortunately, with construction costs of more than $500 million per linear mile, these barriers are far too expensive to purchase for the long shorelines of most countries. Because of these high costs, countries around the world are asking the private sector to develop a different, more cost-effective storm surge barrier technology. This is exactly what we have done. We have developed a highly unique and innovative storm surge barrier that can be made as long as necessary and be moved by rail to any storm surge threatened area. Our mobile barrier technology provides the means to protect an entire shoreline and do so for less than 1/10 the cost of any competing solution. Our radically new approach is a marvel of sophisticated mechanical engineering as well as computer automation technology, and we proudly call our new barrier Defender 1. In practice, when a storm surge is forecast to strike a certain area, the Defender 1 will be immediately moved to that location. This is how it works. When the Defender 1 rail cars reach their target location, the Defender 1 rail cars will start to assemble themselves into a storm surge barrier. First, by joining and sealing their sides together, then by lowering and sealing themselves onto a flat concrete surface where the supporting concrete form is buried deep into the ground. Now, the Defender 1 barrier is ready to stop the incoming storm surge. Now we will look at the Defender 1 barrier from the ocean side, where we can see what the Defender 1 barrier is protecting. After the storm surge has receded and the hurricane has moved out to sea, the Defender 1 barrier will disassemble itself and transport to a storage rail yard where it will remain available to guard against the next storm surge event.